So we tried to find the wind direction and the wind. It started from the north, it then moved round to the east, it then moved round to the southwest, it then disappeared completely. Inside here, the wind started to come from the north, and then it went round to the south, and then it came in different directions. So every time we thought we would be able to try to start a race, the wind then changed again. This is because there's four, I mentioned it the other day, there's four big weather systems in the region, and they're sort of fighting with each other. At the moment they're counteracting each other, there's no one wind's winning. So what happens is, one makes the wind go one way, one makes the wind go the other, and we're left in the middle with very little, or they just compress. So what happens when you have wind like that is that you then have a different type of wind, which is as a result of the land getting warm. The land getting warm, you have the air temperature and the sea temperature, and that creates a circle of wind. So it creates some local wind. Unfortunately, there was no wind in the night to make the land cool down, so it didn't suddenly happen. What normally happens is we have strong wind in the night, the land gets cool, the land then heats up and it creates this wind system. Today, because there was no strong wind in the night, it was quite warm when we started, so there was no big temperature change. So it was very slow coming in. So the last few days we've been lucky that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon the wind has come around. Because of this temperature system, it's created a channel that we could race in. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite happened yet. There was a big dark cloud over the mountain at the back. There was another cloud just over the southern islands, and they were tending to affect what we had. So unfortunately, we had to make a decision at 2 o'clock that no more racing for the day. It doesn't affect the schedule that much because we've managed to get in 2 races each day for quite a few of the racing classes. The rules basically say we need to have completed 2 races to have what we call a series, so that's a qualification event. So we've already done that. Our next milestone is doing 5 races. If we do 5 races during a week, then any boat can discard, it can forget its worst result. So for instance, if somebody had a breakage or something like that, at the moment they might be last in that race and they count it as their results, but as soon as we've completed 5 races they can forget their worst result. So that will start to change the results up again. So I'm sure we'll manage to get, I'm tempting fate then by saying I'm sure, but I'm sure that we'll get into that area. And then it starts to make the results very, very interesting, because normally people have one bad race. And once we take that out, it'll make it on the last day. Hopefully we've got wind then, makes it very competitive at the end of the regatta. Benefit from strong wind are the large, heavy boats. All it is if you notice on the schedule, as we've sailed, the larger, heavier boats have only completed 2 races so far. They've done 1 a day. All the very small boats, because they take quite a long time to get around the course. So obviously, if there's more wind, they can get around quicker, and maybe we can do 2 races for them. However, if they're particularly slow and heavy, and we don't have much wind, they tend to form a wall across the race course. But for the very light boats, they can race. Normally, we agree we have a minimum of 5 knots. That's what we tend to start in. We can do a little bit less, but we have to make sure that everybody can go through the water. And the problem is if the wind does change, or there's an obstruction or a fishing net, they need a certain speed to go so they can get out of any problems. So we've got to think about that as well.